We're recording now. What's your name and everything, so people from that class will understand who you are?
My name is Vivian Calvo Mindiola, and Jonah is my grandson. Is the oldest among all my grandsons, and he is asking me a question in regards to Typhoon Karen. And so I would like to find out what are the questions that you need to know. I will try to remember back, because I'm now 67 years old. And at that time, during Typhoon Karen, it was November 12, 1962, I was only 14 years old.
All right. Now, since we're done with the introduction type stuff, the first question is, what was the situation like before the Typhoon Karen hit? Like buildings and everything? Just a little bit.
It was calm. I mean, we were warned by the typhoon weather station that we're having a typhoon heading toward us, and so a lot of people did secure their place. A lot did not secure their place. My father at that time, we used to have a wooden house, but then he built a house in Tumuning, and it was just 5 years, that he had built that house. It was a concrete house, fully concrete, with 6 bedrooms. And that the night before that, it was just really raining and calm, but my father and my mother just secured the place. We had neighbors around, and neighbors from other districts comes to stay with us because their living condition was not as great as we were staying in Tumuning at that time when my father built this house. And so it's just like it's an ordinary rainstorm and whatnot. That's what I remember at that time. And of course, people that were coming, my father's friends, my mother's friends, neighbors coming, and as it is, they want to play some kind of games, or they just talk and gossip. Situation of the past and what's going to happen tomorrow when the typhoon will hit. Oh,
all right. And then what's the next one? How was it like inside the typhoon?
Inside the typhoon, being my father built a very concrete house at that time, and it was just newly built. I can hear the wind, like trees. Tin roof, I can hear tin roofs flying. I remember that part. And at that time, my father, at that time we have louvers. They call it louvers window. It's not like today's windows where it's one whole structure of window. And that time it was, it's louvers. And so even the way my father secured the outside, at that time we didn't have typhoon shutters. We had plywoods to secure the windows. But I can hear the louvers dancing in my room. It's like, the louvers wants to fly out of the room. But my father will say, don't worry, you'll be fine. Don't worry. Okay, fine. And so my feeling that night was I was calm. To me, it was because, during my past 14 years at that time, to me, typhoon was typhoon. Oh, let the adults take care of everything because I have nothing to worry. I'm only 14 years old. 7 years old, I was 7 years old. 10 years old, we had typhoon. I'm just, they take care, my parents will secure us, his children, because there's 11 of us in the family. And so I didn't really work as hard as my parents did of preparing us and everything of the typhoon. And of course, my father and my mom will give us some counseling that be prepared, don't get scared, don't worry, it's not your worry, it's our worry, and we are the ones supposed to protect you. And that was my feeling that night from my father and my mother.
All right, last question, since you explained quite well. How effective was the disaster relief effort?
After the disaster, the next morning though, and the wind, the rain and everything, and it was safe to go out. I looked out in my window, and of course I can't see because it's all plywood. So I went to the door, and of course my dad and my mom would say, stay inside because it's still not safe. But knowing me, I'm the stubborn one in the family. And even to this day, I'm still the stubborn one with my brothers and sisters. So I went out to the garage, and oh my gosh, I see so many debris in the yard. Plywood, tin roof. There's so many stuff in the yard that it belongs to the neighbors. People that's, you know, that broke down, flew. It was all over the place. And at that time, I was 14 years old, but I normally would help my father doing the yard work. And I look at my father and I said, I ain't gonna clean this mess up. This is not my mess. It's Mother Nature's mess.
It's the good Lord's mess.
And my father said, well, you know, daughter, you know, I'm speaking in English, but in Chamorro he said, agahu, meaning daughter. This is the Lord's will that it's supposed to happen. And so whatever is in our yard don't belongs to us. But being a good father, I will ask the neighbors, whoever missing their tin roof or their wood, they can come and take it after we pile it up. And so, and trees, there was one, a tree, a flame tree, a huge flame tree in the corner of our house in Tamuini.
Tree on fire?
In the garage, you know, but that makes a lot of mess when it comes to, you know, when the falling trees, the fall time when it starts to fall and I have to rake it. And I kept saying, I said, one of these days this tree's going to fall down. Guess what? That tree didn't fall down, but oh, the leaves were all over the place. And I said, oh. So that was my feeling that next day. But in my heart, I said, in my mind, how many people are homeless now? They have no place to go to. The family that stayed with us that night, our house was packed full. They went home and their house was a disaster. My mom and my dad welcomed them back to stay with us, and we enjoyed because we had barbecue every day, because all the meats, you know, you have to cook them. And we had good food every day. And what you call it, that was my feeling the next day was I was kind of hurt because here my father built a very solid home. But those other people that are staying in Quonset Heart, wooden house, tin roof, it was gone. It was a disaster for them.
All right, that's pretty damn good. And I like that. So you want to sum it up a little bit, or that's it?
My summary to that really is that it was not good for Guam to have, of course Guam experienced a lot of typhoon. But I remember my father was saying, he said, this is just like a disaster of World War. Because it was, and I remember that, it was like for him, you know, because my father was during the World War II, on December 8 of 1941. And my dad said, it reminds him, it makes him remember of the wartime, how disaster it was. Although there were, some people lost their life during the typhoon though. But it was a blessing for Guam because that's when the structure of concrete house was built and a lot of people was more safe. Our economy was building up, not that fast, slowly, but we were getting there.
All right. Thanks, Nana.
You're welcome.
I'm going to stop. All right. Thanks.